Hello, I am Jason, and this is Michelle, and we are here with Under the Hood Podcast, special guest. I'm excited for today. Now, I've done a handful of these, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be one that I think is going to be extra special because we have our very first recipient, April Baker, with us. Yeah. Blessing number 1, 10 years ago. We are celebrating our 10-year anniversary, and we thought what a better way to do that by bringing our very first amazing recipient, family member, friend with us to go ahead and sit down and go under the hood. So welcome, April.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes.
I always tease April that she will always be number 1. And that's legit. She is always number 1.
I kind of remind her too.
This is true.
Absolutely. So I know this. I think we could probably turn this into a 6 or 7 hour podcast.
Yes.
So I want to get right into it because there's so much information that I want to pull out because this lady right here is amazing. And I promise you will be blessed after today's podcast. So, April, I'm going to go and take us back to day 1, blessing 1 for us. We are sitting at Christian Brothers Automotive. We feel God's calling us into this ministry. And we ran across an amazing story, and Julie Cornell was telling us about, with Channel 7, was telling us about this amazing person that needed some help. And so anyway, long story short, we were getting into this ministry, and we were thinking about transportation and helping people in Omaha. And I'll save all the details, but we ran across your story, and we're like, yes. This is it. This is an amazing individual. We want to be able to go ahead and help her. And so me and Michelle, we were at Christian Brothers Automotive at the time. And so we're still having a full-time job. We're doing this ministry on the side. And we're going into our car. And I think it was a car that was donated, right, Michelle, from one of our customers.
It was our very first vehicle ever donated. Our service manager said it was a total loss or it was blown or whatever. And
yeah, the engine was blown.
He said, hey, you can donate it to our owners. They started an organization, Chariots for Hope. And so that was our very first card. It was a Ford, I believe, a Ford Escape.
2004 Ford Escape.
There you go.
Yeah, she knows. And we're like, what are we going to do with this? And I'm like, well, let's flip it. So we started going ahead because it was an engine issue. There was several issues. But still, man, it was a good car.
It was a great car.
It was good. We can't just salvage this and total it. So we want to go ahead and we want to fix it. And we're like, yeah, we've got this ministry thing started. So yeah, let's go ahead and fix it up and see if we can help someone that is just making it happen. They're getting up and they're moving forward. And so that's when we ran across this potential amazing recipient, family member, friend that's sitting next to us now. And we're like, this is it. This is the story. This is what we want to do. And so we fixed it up. And man, I remember, Michelle, when the day came, we're sitting in the car. I already feel like I knew April. I'm like, I cannot wait to meet April. She's got this amazing young man, Josiah. What's up, Josiah? And so I was so excited. So were you. And we're just we had no idea the impact that this was going to have on me and you and what it did for this ministry. And so we're just getting in the car and we're just let's do this. We didn't have a lot of groundwork, a lot of details, but we got into the car. There's a news story. And I remember they filmed us and we were just do you remember that?
Yeah.
We were just oh my gosh, I can't wait. We're so excited. And we pulled around and April had no idea. She's sitting on the step just thinking, what did they tell you?
I thought I was coming to lunch and doing a follow-up interview from a previous news story I had done with Julie Cornell.
Yes.
So I thought I was going to lunch, which I was disappointed because I didn't get my lunch. But I had no idea though at all. Right. So we were just chatting outside.
Yeah.
And she had asked the question, and it was so funny because she had said, we were talking about my car, about everything that was wrong with it. And I was just so discouraged. And it was just I knew winter was approaching, and I'm I have no heat in my car. What am I going to do with my kid? Because I can't do this another year. It was awful the year prior. And she was like, what would, being able to get a reliable vehicle, mean to you? And I was like, man, I don't even have the words for it. And literally that is the same, because of the way I was standing, the same moment that you guys pulled into the driveway, and I'm really confused because there's a bow.
Right.
So in my head, I kind of had maybe, but I was for me, things like this don't happen. Right. Then in my life, it never happened. I've always felt this is always someone else's story. I get to watch on the sidelines and be happy for them, but it's not my story. And then I thought, I was And then I looked at their faces, and then I knew it was me, and then I just started crying. They have that on the kid. You can watch the story of the ugly cry in my face. I was like, I was bawling. My poor son is like, but then he's like kind of excited. I think he kind of was like, "It's our car," and I'm like, I didn't know. And you guys just jumped out, and we're all like, I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, you were awesome.
I think for that day too, for us as Chariots for Hope, it was our very, very first blessing. And there was so much back work on that car and just so much love and hopes and dreams and visions that God had really laid on our heart. And so to see it like coming to life and then actually tangibly witnessing what the hope of Christ can do through people, and then providing that tangible piece for April and Josiah was just so life-changing for myself and Jason. And it really, when we walked away on the backside of that story, April will tell you her side, but we literally got in the car and we said, how do we do this every day? How do we do this every single day? How do we get to experience what we just witnessed? And it was just this wave of, I don't know how you're going to do this, Lord, but we have to do this.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, that's exactly right. And for both of us, we got in there in April. I don't know if we've ever shared this. We may have, but we were praying for confirmation, even though that the car was moving forward, if you will, right? So the ministry was moving forward. We were laying the groundwork and all the details. We still weren't 100% sure. Yeah. And so it was after that moment of just meeting you and that experience for us that we're like, God spoke through you to us saying, this is what I want you to do. Yeah. And we walked away very emotional and very excited, kind of anxious and nervous a little bit because we're like, this is it. Like, we're going to sell our business and do this full time. So thank you.
Yeah.
That's like so humbling, but also like so cool to know that. I mean, you always like, I want God to use me. And knowing now, hearing that back is like really cool to know that God used that seemingly like, I guess, thing to like really catapult us to like where we are now 10 years later. Like, I mean, doesn't even seem like 10 years when I go back and watch, even though obviously because my son now is 13, it doesn't seem like that, but 10 years is a long time. I mean, it's an entire decade, and so much has happened, whether it's been good or bad, but like 10 whole entire years, like
that's history.
It's a long time, and and so many people watching the organization grow from me on has been the coolest thing ever to be a part, to see all of the people now coming back and being a part of everything that like has been done, whether it's been the summer activities or movie nights or Bible studies, like just seeing that it's turned into more than truly beyond the car is really what has been the most amazing part for me to have been involved.
Right.
Well, and I remember when you witness somebody's barrier be broke, and at that time she was really dealing with transportation issues and living in a city like Omaha, it was just so I don't know, there was a component to be like, I want to keep doing this for so many more women. And I knew there were so many more women. We both knew there were women that were struggling just like April. Yeah. But what was great to see was to watch your self-sufficiency and your freedom come out of that car. And you were able to grow better as a mom and as a woman and all the things that go along with having reliable transportation. But
yeah, and talk about that. That's a good point, Michelle.
Huge.
As far as go back to that moment and just, can you kind of share with us, you kind of already did, but just like when we pulled around, but then after that, like the fact that you had a vehicle and reliable transportation, the impact that had on you that day, can you share a little bit about like just your emotional probably roller coaster?
Yeah, it was definitely, obviously like a huge burden. Relief was like off my shoulders from there, because prior to, I had left an abusive relationship, and my really good friends who I love dearly had bought me this car, and they were doing out of the kindness of their hearts because they loved the Lord and they loved me and Josiah, and they didn't know anything about cars, but they saw that it was a great deal, and I mean, they paid cash for it because they were very Dave Ramsey, so they wanted me to have a car with no payments. I love them for that, but they didn't know much about cars, and, you know, they just got it, but it had so many issues, and they didn't know about that. The back window was basically like halfway down, and so there was a lot of water coming in, so there was mold growing in the back seat, no heat, no air conditioning, There was some minor like leaks and things like that would, for some people, would be okay because they could just get them fixed. Well, didn't have the capability at that time to get them fixed. And at that time, Josiah was in multiple therapies, so we're going to appointments every single day almost. So I needed that car, and I had to use that car. And I remember in the summer, it was so tough because it was, 90, 100 degrees and we had no air. So all the windows were down. And I remember the time that I got the most hopeless, like towards the end of that, was when Sai had like thrown up because it got so overheated. And people were just like trying to give me, I had made a swamp cooler essentially out of a container with some water. And they had told me how to like basically circulate air through the car. And I was like, I can't keep doing this. And I can't, I was praying, God, what am I supposed to do? I'm ready to go just drive this car off the edge of the thing. And I don't know, whatever, it was just not going to happen. Right. And so after that day, honestly, it just literally was okay, I have a car that's big enough to house my kiddo, everything, all the stuff that we need, his supplies, going to therapy. We had AC, we had heat, there was all the essentials, which, granted, I grew up, it is what it is, but, my kiddo was very sensitive to that with his sensory issues. And so those were things that made a big difference in our, no more screaming in the car and, having tantrums the whole time because he was either too hot or too cold and things like that you don't think about or whatever. It just really changed my life because then I was able to get to our appointments. I didn't have to cancel things. I was able to start going to therapy myself because I could start thinking about myself now. Yeah. It wasn't just about him. It was about me too. Right. So I could take him to, school and have him go to, there safely. And then I could go to my appointments and then I could then from that, I built out being able to start doing things like cleaning houses on the side, which helped me start, generating more income into the home, bringing in more money as being, a single parent. And still in that, in between of going through the disability process and things like that I was going through, I was able to babysit. I was able to, do things for people that then it was bringing in more income into the house. So I was feeling more independent and not having to rely on other types of things that I would have had to in the past or had gone without, just going without completely, which is what we've done before. So it definitely opened up a bunch of doors for me to then be able to, okay, maybe school is an option now because now I have transportation where I can now drive to Elkhorn where before that car I couldn't because of the tire situation. I wasn't able to drive that far and I couldn't go over 65 miles on the interstate. So, I had so many issues that I couldn't do that it had, really stopped me in my tracks for a lot of things.
That's so good, April.
Thank you so much for listening to the Under the Hood podcast. We just wanted to take a quick second to communicate something that is at the heart and center of our organization, and that is the gospel of Jesus. We are a ministry before we are a business, organization, nonprofit, everything. We remove transportation barriers to demonstrate God's love. And God's love to us is that while we were all sinners, all of us, every single one of us, born into sin, desperate in need of a savior, God sent his only son because he so loved the world. That means me. That means you listening to this podcast and everybody else as well. If you've sensed that there's something missing in your life, and I know that I have, and we all at Chariots for Hope know that we have as well, we encourage you, get to know who Jesus is. Not just as this religious figure that maybe a lot of people have communicated to you over time that he might be, but really as a father, a friend, and a savior ultimately. Salvation costs nothing. Jesus is for you. He wants a relationship with you, and he wants to start today. If you have questions or if you want to know more, if you're interested even a little bit, we would like for you to reach out to us. Thanks for listening to me for a second. Now back to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm still freaking out 10 years ago. Number one is sitting here with us.
I know, it's crazy.
That is so special.
It is crazy.
So I wanted to ask this, a lot of folks, as far as coming into this ministry and, starting to understand what Chariots is about, we always say that we're not a transactional ministry. It's not we're not a dealership. It's so much more than the car. The car's important, and there's other things that we do to help people break reliable transportation barriers. But it's the community piece for us that we just absolutely love. We want to lock arms, and we don't do it perfectly, and we fail sometimes, but our heart, and I think I want you to speak to this, is you. It's like, hey, we want to build a relationship and a friendship and just do life together. And so can you speak a little bit to that as far as, you got the car, it, like you said, it helped you become self-sufficient, get to appointments, medical appointments, and work. But talk about the community piece.
Yeah.
That is I think the hugest part. I think when we were at the porch, we had
The porch days.
Yeah, we had our meetings, which was always so great because we could come and, childcare was great because then I got a little break. And then we had, our Bible studies. But I think for me, what really stands out to me, and this is on a personal level, is that how you stepped in and kind of took Josiah under your wing. And he still remembers it. Like, even now, thinking back to that, I have the photos of you guys. And you getting him that little, I think it's either a basketball or a football. I can't remember which you got, though. But you guys spent that time together and got ice cream. And,
Oh, that was with our kids.
Yep,
too.
yep,
Yeah,
We went
yeah.
to Shields.
Yep, you guys, they went
We
to
were
Shields.
together.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Time.
And, and from that point, we just moved forward and we had all the events. And that was the thing I think that was the most important, is because, I had a car. Yeah, it's reliable and I'm doing all this stuff now. But also I have all these other things that are going on. Like, I have the spiritual portions of what I was working through and not really knowing. And then the familial, like, family relationships, not having a lot of family, but then this becoming my family, making friendships with the other recipients and
Yes.
too, which was really amazing. And building out upon that, more community, more friendships, and kind of stuff that you couldn't get outside of, unless you went to like a church and had a great whatever. A lot of people weren't, and that's okay. You don't have to, but it's bringing you it was like my little church. Like, I always said, like, this, I didn't go to church that time because of whatever, but I always said, like, me going to the porch was my church, because then I was getting my word of God for that. We were doing, my praying and all of that, but it was also leading me back onto the path as we move on 10 years down the road to where I am now.
Right.
Granted,
Crazy.
I went, I feel like it's like, for me, I look at it as like Candyland, like the game, or even kind of maybe even whatever, like going on the yellow brick road, but like my road was not always straight, but not everyone's life path is going to be linear. Right. Even though you guys gave the car to me free, it was a gift, like the gift of grace. It was no attachments. It was just given. There was still life. Life still came. Nothing was perfect. I wanted that car to last forever. But what happened? I got into someone rear-ended me and totaled the car. Right. And that was the most devastating thing for me, because then it's like, what do you do from there?
Right.
But that's life. And it taught me a lot of stuff from there, moving through that portion of that. Going into my next, we say, oh, I got my upgrade. Remember when I got my new car? Like, look at my new upgrade. Yeah. But it didn't stop there, because then 2 years later, someone stole that car. Right. And it was like, okay, God, do you just hate me, or am I unlucky? Like, what is going on here? Right? But no, but that also then led me to other things. Like, God brought other things into my life, ways that I was getting my finances under control. I was learning how to budget. I was, got my very first, on my own car loan, like things that someone would say, oh, you should, we're debating about that, but right. I was able to do it all by myself. Right. That was like the first independent thing of like, I didn't have no one co-sign for me, put no down payment, and I was affordable. And this was like, all mine. It was like all mine. And so it gave me like the foundation and the steps to like keep moving forward, even though life has its ways of like, the enemy coming in trying to destroy what God had already. It didn't happen though, because God kept opening those doors. He would shut what wasn't supposed to happen and then open another door and then shut it. And then it also just continued to allow me to go on my path of what I was doing. And as far as my journey and being able to share my story, working and being an advocate and, working in the anti-trafficking world and keeping me, mobile so that I could help the people that I was helping.
Right.
Because without a vehicle, I couldn't do that.
Right. Well, and I think you've spoken to me before, just the importance on healthy community. You've seen it through other programs that you've been through or programs you hear other women going through, and the importance of healthy community. I think that's such a big, huge mantra that with reliable transportation, now people are able to attain that through Chariots for Hope. We've learned a lot along the way in the last 10 years of what works, what doesn't work, what the people we get to love and serve, what they're kind of wanting, but building things that they wouldn't be able to do otherwise. We go to Valas and we do things like the buses and the Christmas lights, and really try to just love the people that we serve within Chariots for Hope. Just love them where they're at. I feel like that is such a crucial piece, is just to love people where they're at, because you just don't know what they're going through. We did not know we knew a little bit of her story, like Jason said, and we felt like we knew her, but now looking back 10 years later, holy buckets. She's been through it. She's a fighter. She's a warrior, and she fights. But through it all, you have been able to make really great choices by choosing healthy community, having an organization that you trust. That's key for a lot of the people we able, to love and serve. Trust is a huge issue. So anyway, the community piece is crucial. And I think what's so exciting for Jason and I and for our staff is that the longevity of that. We have so many year 1, 2, 3 that are still here. Yeah, it's encouraging as an organization.
But the trust was huge, because I think at the end of the day, even looking back now, the 10 years, never once was my story or even my past or, you guys not knowing all of my backstory at all, even whatever, you guys never chose to exploit what I had gone through as a way to whatever. So that was really important for me, is that it wasn't we're doing this so that we have some kind of success, whatever, so that we could, continue on. It was we're doing this just because we love Jesus and we want to be obedient to his call. Yes. And that's it. And then you walked away from that. You guys, even when I was going through my own junk and you would reach out to me and be thinking about you, praying for you, where you been at? It's a little naggy, whatever.
You can't get rid of me.
Nope, exactly. And so that was huge for me. It let me know that okay, this is legit. And that's what kept me coming back and continues to keep me coming back.
That's good. Absolutely.
So don't give up.
Exactly. Right. And that
even when you think you're being a pest.
Yeah, don't. I mean, because it means a lot, because it showed me even when I was going through so much, and even when I reach out to you and say this is whatever, you would have whatever wisdom to share, but it was always pointing me back to Jesus, though, which was annoyed me sometimes, because that's not what I want. I wanted the logical. I'm an analytical person. I want the actual answers. Give me the solution to the problem. Right. But the solution is always Jesus. And that is the hard part to learn. And even 10 years, me going back and going forward, that's what I've had to learn in these 10 years, that no matter what I've tried, when I've gone around everything, I've always had to circle back to Jesus is always the solution. And even though I've tried it my way every time, when I failed, then I had to get back up and then go realize, okay, Jesus, you were right. It wasn't. All right, got it. I got it.
Right.
And that's in every part of my life, what I've done, even moving forward. Every change that I've made, every decision that I've made going forward in this past 10 years, no matter whether it's been a bad decision, an unwise decision, whatever, I get back up. I go to the cross again and say, I jacked up, now let's go. And that's been in everything. Every healthy choice, every bad choice, I just go right back to Jesus and say, okay, how do we start over? Wow. Where do we go from here?
That's awesome. And you are a fighter. I mean, I just look at your journey, like you said, without going through everything, but it's you've been life has knocked you down a lot. And you keep getting back up stronger and stronger. And then you get knocked down and then you get back up. You are just... you do encourage us. We sit around the table. We say this all the time, and it's God has definitely formed this organization to encourage people, to help people, to bring people to Him. That's our prayer. And so definitely it's an encouraging ministry. But what people don't know is family members like you, we're not staying around that table if it wasn't for folks like you, because it's like we see this and we're encouraged, and iron truly does sharpen iron, and you get knocked down, you get back up, and you're back up and you're stronger, and it's like you've got this amazing, he's not a boy anymore, he's a man.
He's a young man
that you're fighting for, and he's
gosh.
turning into just an amazing young man, and just it's super encouraging, like Michelle said to us. So thank you for your strength. Thank you for encouraging us, helping us to be successful as a ministry, and just this friendship that lasts for 10, like that doesn't happen all the time.
It
10
doesn't.
years.
I don't know. Maybe it does through organizations, but I just feel so honored that we still have number one. Because how many cars, like just that we've been able to in 10 years?
600-700 people that we've helped that's kind of gone through
That's
the program.
crazy,
And
okay?
what would you say, like, because we do have people that are watching this, and it's like, when you think of Chariots for Hope from your perspective, what's something that maybe people don't know that you're like, hey, give us a nugget or two about Chariots?
That's a good one.
Maybe it's like, yeah, we help with transportation, but maybe just a nugget or two about Chariots from your perspective.
I think, again, like the fact that I don't know who thought of Beyond the Car, where that came from. I'm not sure, wherever.
I did. Can you believe that? No.
And then I think that
I think it's Buzz Lightyear that gave me that idea.
yeah,
It's
I think
Infinity.
that's funny because I have that. That's my Infinity Beyond
There you go,
tattoo.
yeah.
For Sai, that was for Sai. How much I loved him, but I think that when you think about it, and a lot of people have asked to say like, oh, you mean that car place? I'm like, it's not just a car place. Like, it's not. And it hasn't been, because like, again, here I am sitting 10 years later, and I mean, and I think about what I've gone through and all that. And there's been so many times that like you guys have stepped in. We've done things for Christmas, and we played games, and you guys gave out prizes. The things you guys do outside of just the cars with the Christmas blessings that you give to people who don't know they're getting something, like that is incredible too. Right. I mean, the things that you do outside of that as well, like coats, and I mean all the food you feed us every single week when we're doing our stuff. I mean, they don't know about all the little small things that go into all this, like all of the prayer. And just because I know your guys' story, like for me, it's so personal because I know what you guys gave up, and I know to you you're just like, oh, it's because God said so. But like, I mean, if you hadn't like done that, like, I don't know where I would be. That's the hard part, that I don't know. Like, I have no clue. Like, I don't know. You guys might be like somewhere in New York still, like told you all the time, Real Housewives of New York.
Yeah.
Sitting on your fancy with your Chanel bag. But you had to give up a lot. I mean, sacrificing a lot. And that's hard to do for people you didn't even know. You didn't know me. You didn't know my kid. I could have been some who knows what off the street, but you chose to do that for someone that you didn't know. And that's the ultimate sacrifice, is when Jesus says you lay down your life for your brother, your friend. You didn't even know me, but you treated me like family, and you have continued to do so. So if you ever doubt for a second or ever get discouraged and everything that you've gone through, just look back at me and look at where me and Sai are at now and realize that it's all been worth it. I mean, look where I'm at now. Like, I'm the healthiest I've been. I am doing so good. Like, my life is, it couldn't be greater, but that's because Jesus has literally ordained every single step. Now, whether I've deviated from those and I'm come back, but I'm here and I'm standing strong, and I'm not a victim anymore. I'm not a survivor. I'm an overcomer, and I'm an achiever. And so I get to now work with victims of domestic violence and human trafficking, and I get to teach them that they don't have to sit in their past and be held back by it, but they can move forward, and they can literally live in victory, and they can come out and then help others too. Correct. And just be that light. Like, and that's all I want to do, is that's what I want to be, is able to help someone to walk through all of the hard stuff with them, and then to be on the other side where I'm at, like out of addiction of any sort of whatever it was, because I had my own addictions, and it wasn't drugs, it was food. And look what I've done now. 143 pounds down in 17 months, and I don't even I mean,
Wow.
and
Say that
I-
one more time.
143 pounds down.
Okay, I don't know if you could see this, but April doesn't like this, but April, you're a beautiful lady, okay? And you were beautiful there.
Thank you.
And you worked hard and lost
Very
this
hard.
weight.
I continue
and
to do so.
Wow.
Every day. No days off is I think I'm going to make it like my new slogan. No days off. So like Sunday, except Sundays. I'm going to have like a little cross, something like that.
So what's your end goal? Are you still going? Are you still going?
I have like 12 pounds to go to where I want to be there, but like I'm comfortable where I'm at now. Like I'm good, but I mean I want to be able to like I think be my strongest, and I want to be able to do. There's one gym workout thing, and it's called a windshield.
Yeah.
It's like a pull up where you pull yourself all the way up, and you're in a seated position, and then you do like windshield wipers. That's my end goal. When I get to do that, I'll be great, but. I mean, otherwise, I've just added the longevity to my life that I need to be able to be here for my kid for the long term and for just for myself. I mean, it wasn't about getting skinny or whatever. It was about being healthy. And actually, honestly, we're going to bring it back to Jesus. It was about honoring my temple because God had talked to me one day and he was like, you know, food is great. It's wonderful. It's on this earth, but are you really honoring like the body that I gave you? And I'm just like, no, I'm not. No,
good.
Jesus. So, you know, there you go.
That's strong.
Well, I thank you for encouraging us. I feel like we were always encouraging others, but that was a beautiful blessing.
Can you come to all these podcasts?
Definitely could.
Can you lead and just kind of facilitate the rest of them for Tony?
I can't help
It sounds like I don't know. It's like, do you do this once? I think you do this once or twice a
I
month.
do this.
does this.
I
Yeah.
do this.
You're very natural.
I do. I am. I
You wanna-
have a.
Before
I
we
just-
wind it
yeah.
down, you want to tell anyone? Do you have a podcast? Do you want to
So
promote
I do
what you're doing now?
I do stream live on a couple of apps. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on another app called Tagged. I have a parenting show on Sundays that airs on Tagged at 11 p.m. Eastern time. I have a little following of like only 26,000. So I'm working my way up, whatever. But
impressive.
I try to also, you know, just use my natural ability of having a great personality with my story of like overcoming like my weight issues and loving myself no matter what stage I was at, which has been the really important part of that. And then also just trying to treat people like no matter who they are as Jesus would, like, and that's been my ultimate goal, is just to loving thy neighbor as thyself has really been really important to me.
So
Wow.
Like no matter who they are. So yeah.
That's good. Hey, I'll follow you. I didn't know you did that. So 26,001 now.
Yeah.
You've got
There you go.
no. So do this. This is hard. We'll give you a minute to think about it. But if you had to sum up Chariots for Hope and your experience and everything in 3 words.
3 words.
3 words.
3 words.
Man.
You can think about it, but 3 words.
Chariots in 3 words is almost impossible. I think you would need like the whole entire dictionary full of adjectives and nouns. But I would say
Not fair, I know.
definitely I would say incredible. I would say life-changing. And I would say Jesus-filled.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, that has been, I think, the thing that has so many businesses, organizations fail within the 2 years of starting. And I think the reason why you guys have been able to maintain and grow the way that you have is because you have always, no matter what, kept Jesus at the center. And Michelle has always said something to me all the time. She's like, this is not mine.
Come on.
And if God told me tomorrow to walk away, I would do it in a heartbeat.
yes.
Because this isn't my organization.
No.
It's not mine.
That's right.
And
You
that's
follow him, not Chariots.
that's where I think you guys have done the right thing. Where so many others could learn and could glean if they could glean any of like knowledge or wisdom or whatever, is if they're really going to do it, is it has to be Jesus. It has to be him. And if you're not listening to him, then it's going to fail.
Come on, preach.
Yeah, sorry. I,
mean, wish
didn't
we-
come here for church, but
but I felt like I just went to church.
yeah.
Wow. Well, you know us, so we want to wrap it up. We have to come back. We need to do a part 2.
Yeah.
Right?
I would love to.
And the part 2, what I want to do, if you pray about it, because we can go a couple different directions. For 10 years, we wanted to go ahead. There's nobody else we wanted here but you. 10-year anniversary for Chariots, which is amazing. Like you said, you already gave the stat of 2 years and 4 years. I mean, there's just so many that fail, and unfortunately, but they do. 10 years, God has blessed this, and you were our first. So we needed you here for that, just to talk general terms. But let's go into a more specific story on part 2.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah,
You'll
I'd
come
love
back?
to.
Okay, let's do that. And you know, when you said 3 words, I would say that one of them we hope, it's hope and encouragement. And so we do. We just want to kind of finish this off by saying this, that we love you, that you are absolutely a blessing to us. And so people that are a blessing to us, we want to be a blessing to them. And so we got a little something for you.
Oh my God, don't do this.
Okay, we got a couple things.
Got a couple things.
This first one here is a year's worth of oil changes. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take care of that for you.
Wow.
Okay, and then just a little something else here. If you want to open that up, that's a little something that says, thank you for being number one.
I'm scared. What is this?
Just a little,
scared.
we know that times are challenging, but
Don't be scared.
we definitely want to give you a little something for Christmas.
Whoa.
So
Okay.
hopefully that'll...
None of your guys' business. It's mine. Don't hit me up, y'all. This is mine.
So you are our crazy surprise this week.
Yes. So we wanted to just say thank you, and we love you, and
love
get
you
something
guys
nice for yourself,
too.
and just have a good Christmas.
Josiah with Christmas and just everything and just, yeah. We see
I
you.
love y'all.
We see you.
Well, I see you guys too. Remember that. That's why I'm here. It's why I keep coming back.
That's why you keep coming back.
Yep.
Well, hopefully this will be a blessing. This will be a blessing.
Huge.
You continue to be a blessing. And yeah, for those who don't know about Under the Hood, this is what we do. We get under the hood at Chariots for
with
Hope.
our amazing
So,
family members.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning in.
Join us every month. Next month you may see her again. I don't know. All right. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Chariots for Hope Under the Hood podcast. If you were inspired by this story and you would like to learn how you could be a part of demonstrating God's love by removing transportation barriers, we can't encourage you enough to go to our website at chariots4hope.org. Thanks for listening again, and God bless you.